Okay, so here's a conversation for today. Have you ever found yourself in an argument? Not a big deal, just you're in an argument with somebody and either you're just tired of arguing or you don't even care if, who's right or who's wrong, but you just want the argument to end, but you don't want to admit to them, oh, yeah, you're right. You don't want to agree with them. So, you ever feel stuck like that? So, I'm going to share something with you today that you can use that will interrupt that and you'll never deal with that again, at least with that person. Now, what I'm going to share with you, you can use with as many people as you like, as many times as you like, and it's always going to work. And it does take some practice, but it does work. So I'll give you an example of it in a minute here, but let me just share with you how it works. So here you are, you're arguing with somebody about something, usually not something really, really important, but something, and you both have an opinion and you're sure that you saw it the way you see it and they see it the way they see it. So all that's actually happening as you're having that back and forth is each of you is saying, no, I'm right, you're wrong. The way I see it, this is how it is. The way you see it, that's not it. But that's all that's going on. And you're just taking turns. And it actually escalates, right? Because if somebody says something that you disagree with and then you take a position against that, then naturally there's a little bit of an escalation that goes on there. And sometimes you actually find yourself maybe even feeling defensive about how you're saying what you're saying, like maybe what they're saying seems like an accusation of something to you. And so it can actually escalate to something that's out of proportion, certainly out of proportion to the level of the subject that you're talking about. So here's what you do, because it's a back and forth, right? So they say something and then you say something, and both of the things that you're saying are, I'm right, you're wrong. So here's what you do. You think of something about that person, something something that is a compliment, an acknowledgement. So there's something that they're working on or something that they're doing or something that they have done or something they've accomplished. And you acknowledge them for that thing. And it needs to be authentic, because if you just make something up to throw them off, they're going to smell that. That's not going to work. But what happens is they're expecting you to come back with a defense or with a comeback or, another, no, here's why I'm right, here's why you're wrong. And you don't. You come back with something that's supporting them, that's actually, acknowledging them. And I'll tell you why this works in a minute. But what happens is they don't know what to do because they're so ready to be in this fight with you, and then you're not fighting. And not only are you not fighting, but you're giving them something that they weren't expecting. So I'll give you an example. My little brother and I, we've been in arguments since I can remember. And, when you're kids, you argue all the time. But he really has taken it to a new level. He can create an argument with anybody over nothing, and he seems to get a lot of pleasure out of it. Anyway, so one day I was going to go have lunch with him, and I had made a commitment to myself. I'm not going to argue with him today. And so there we are having lunch. And next thing you know, I'm in an argument with him. And I'm going, how did I get stuck in an argument again? And I thought about it, while we're talking back and forth, and I realized what had happened and how he hooked me. He's really good at it. Anyway, so it was, over lunch, and we're having this not heated debate or anything, just an argument. And when it was my turn to talk, I said, well, I just really want to acknowledge you for the amazing, lovely home that you've created with your wife. It's such a safe and lovely place for her and her children, and you've made that happen. And you've also done great things with that house. You've really made it a nice place to live. And I just want you to know, I think that's awesome. And he was stunned. He didn't know what to say next. The best part is he forgot what we were arguing about. And we went on to talk about a whole bunch of other things that were more important, clearly, than that subject that we were arguing about. And he actually began to share some things with me about his life that really were important to him. Here's the best part, though. We finished lunch, and I walk with him out to his car. And I give him a big hug, and I start to walk away, and he goes, man, I really wish we had more time to talk. Now, I've known this kid his whole life, and this was a few years back, but he was already 50-something. And all his life, he had never said that to me, not one single time. And the truth is that the quality of our conversations since that point in time has shifted. And we have a whole different relationship with each other, a whole different quality of communication that goes on. Because he just doesn't start arguments with me, and I know how not to step into them the way he hooks everybody else. So really what it comes down to is you want to really look for what's there about that person that's important to them. And here's why this works. Mother Teresa said this: there's more hunger in this world for love and for acknowledgement than there is for bread. And I believe she was right. So you're in the argument, they're being right, you're being right, you realize this is just endless and pointless, and you go, yeah, I don't want to keep doing this. How do I get out of this without, admitting I'm wrong or whatever the failure would be, right? And then you just think, what's important to this person? What are they doing? What matters to them? What do they really care about? What can I acknowledge them for in their life that's real? And I promise you, when you do that, they'll be flabbergasted. The thing you'll notice is they don't know what to say next. And it's awesome, because right then they feel great. They know they're supposed to be arguing with you, but they're not sure why, because you've just changed the whole dynamic of the conversation by, changing the tone of it. And suddenly they don't remember what they were going to say next. And it's actually very possible you could change your entire relationship with that person going forward. So anyway, thought for the day: how to stop arguing, make people feel better about themselves. Aloha.